What's up, guys? Back with another educational video, and this week we're talking about booty gains. So you may have heard there's a recent study out that compared the effects of 12 weeks of training hip thrust or barbell back squat and how they compared for increasing strength and hypertrophy in the glutes, squat, and hip thrust. They took women and they resistance trained them for 12 weeks. And I believe they were actually trained previously. So these weren't newbies. And they had them either do hip thrust or deep squats. And then the training protocols were pretty much the same. It's just one was using hip thrust, one was using squat, obviously. Now, what's really interesting was at the end of the study, both groups increased their glute muscle mass. Both groups increased their hip thrust strength. Only the squat group improved their 1 rep max squat. But what was really interesting was the squat group got significantly greater glute gains than the hip thrust group. Further, the hip thrust group had a significant increase in their hip thrust 1 rep max. But the squat group actually got just as much increase in the hip thrust 1 rep max, even though they didn't do hip thrusts. But there was no increase in the 1 rep max of the squat just by doing hip thrust. So what does this mean? If you want to build your booty, should you just only do squats? No, that's not what this means. It also doesn't mean you shouldn't hip thrust. The authors state that one thing that may explain the difference in the outcomes is that hip thrusts don't really go through a full range of motion. So at the bottom of a hip thrust, you're not really stretching the glutes all the way through a range of motion, where in the bottom of a deep squat, you're stretching them significantly more. And stretch and the eccentric load is a component of hypertrophy, it appears anyway. So that might be one reason why they saw differences in terms of glute growth. Now, this doesn't mean there's not a place for hip thrusts. Hip thrusts tend to beat you up way less than barbell back squats. I know for me, I can barbell back squat a few times a week, but it starts accumulating and I get overreached and in quite a bit of discomfort and very sore, lethargic, that sort of thing. I can do hip thrusts multiple times a week, and it does not seem to negatively impact my recovery too much. So I think there's still a place for hip thrusts. I think there's a place for back squats. Ideally, if you're trying to maximize your glute gains, you're programming both. The reason being is you want the back squats because set per set, rep per rep, they seem like they increase glute growth more than hip thrust. However, it's hard to do enough volume just in back squat to maximize that glute growth. So by doing some more volume with hip thrusts, perhaps you're able to add more mass without beating yourself up so much and negatively impacting your overall recovery. Plus, try to keep in mind, this is just one study, needs to be replicated, and we need to see how it fits in the context of the overall data set. All right, guys, that's it for this week. Make sure you click the links in the description, check out some of my educational materials, and I will catch you next week. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. If you like these videos, please click the links in the description to check out some of my educational books where you can learn more about fat loss and contest prep.